There we go.
Oh
I
my
can see your
gosh.
face.
Look at his beautiful face. I told you we'd be lit up tonight on this dark evening. Hello there, Tim. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. A pretty busy day. I finished work, cooked dinner for Alicia, and then it was like, oh crikey, it's time for streaming. So a bit of a rush, but regardless, I'm happy to be chatting to you. It's something we kind of talked about doing for a while, and it seems that the stars have aligned, and we finally get an afternoon free where we have time to chat. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Indeed.
And for anyone who wants the exclusive alternative perspective, you can check out Tim. I think he is still streaming live on Twitch at twitch.tv slash TimBeaudet. So you can check that out there. Tim, I should ask, do I say your surname correct? Do I...
It's technically Beaudet, but
Beaudet. No,
just saying it just fine.
no. I like to try and get names right, and I always forget Beaudet. Thank you very much. Right, we'll make sure we say it correctly. So yeah, so we're joined by Tim today. Some of you should know Tim. How I normally start off these interviews, Tim, is I will give a brief introduction of how I know you, and then we can talk to you to find out a little bit more. So for anyone watching who does know Tim already, so Tim streams on Twitch, and he's been a long timer on Twitch as far as game dev is concerned. I've been on Twitch since late 2017, and as I often refer back to when we do these interviews, there was a kind of a small growing community, or a more of a, I guess, a community who kind of knew each other, raided each other a bit more often, and it was a bit of a nicely kind of knit group of people at one point. And yeah, I guess I naturally came to find Tim's stream as that kind of progressed. And Tim is someone who, one, he has a beautiful bird, or do you still have the beautiful bird?
I do not.
Okay, so Tim used to have a beautiful bird, which we used to sit on his shoulder and stream, and he had a little stream overlay. And with me, with AHA, that game was something which had stream integration. So it was great to see someone else doing some cool, fun things on stream as well, using kind of chat integration and that. And yeah, Tim primarily codes in C++ as well. I know he works on his own engine, and I know for sure that he has an affinity for race car driving games, whatever the right term is for it. But most of the games that I see Tim working on are pretty much. Didn't you do an archery game? Did you do an archery game as well?
Archery was the very first game I did, yes.
Yes.
That was back before I kind of started specializing in racing games only. And I just did that so that I could make the best out of what I have.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that was the first game I remember. Doing back. Wow, that was a while ago now. But since then, what I kind of one of the things I respect about Tim is that he is kind of continually developing one area that I assume has a passion about. We can talk about that in a little bit longer, but and just developing that so that he can effectively become an expert in that area, and use all of that experience that he's put in over the years to feed into one product time after time, and to make that end product even more kind of impressive at the end of it. But yeah, other than that though, I don't know much about Tim's history prior to Twitch, so hopefully we're gonna have a bit of a chat today and find out a little bit more. Am I pretty much correct on what I've said so far? I haven't misrepresented you though, I assume.
So perfect.
Perfect. Okay, and also most importantly, he refers to us as turtles. So if that gets said today, do not be alarmed. It's all good. It's all good. So yeah, let's start off then. In terms of game dev, I often find it interesting finding out how people got into game dev. We've had a lot of people at different kind of sides. Some people have always wanted to do it and always pursued it. Other people have just done a normal code job for a while, and then they've always wanted to do it and they kind of done it on the side. And then there's some people who just have their own little unique story. So I guess I'd be interested in asking you, Tim, like where did you start doing game dev? Is it something from your early years, or is it something you picked up a little later down the line?
I'm being told that my mic is being a little odd. Is it not coming from
It's a little
normal?
It's a little echoey, but
Shouldn't be echoey at all. This activity. Let's try. Is this any better?
I
You still
think
hear me?
yeah, I still hear you. It still sounds the same, if I'm
Yeah, I
honest
don't
with
hear
you.
me. Okay, now I don't hear you.
Oh no, it's
No,
fine.
no.
We'll get this out of the way. It's not a problem.
That should work. Input device. How is this?
There we go.
Any
Now we're
better?
talking.
Ah,
That is a lot better. Yeah.
sorry.
No. It's not a problem. To be honest, I didn't know if it was if you had any other options. So I didn't want to say, oh, could you fix your mic? Uh, I could hear you, but in terms of fidelity, it's definitely nicer in this one. So thank you, chat, for being pedantic because we will have a nice like 2 hour stream now where we have Tim and his beautiful glory instead of slightly echoey tip. So yeah, so the question was, how did you first kind of delve into game dev? Is this something you've always wanted to pursue?
I would say yes, it's something I always wanted to pursue, but I didn't realize it until middle school. I'd say before middle school, I was playing a bunch of video games and whatever. And then in middle school, I was bouncing into the advanced math class and then back to the basic, mostly because I didn't want to do all the work. I was smart enough to get out of the basic math class, but then I just didn't want to keep up with the advanced one. So I kept
Right.
bouncing back and forth between them. And in the advanced math class, I met a person that basically changed my entire life by teaching me how to convert decimal to binary and back. And then he had come over after school one day and showed me how to do some code in QBasic. We did guess a number or something like that, just something
Mm.
simple. And that was the day I knew I wanted to make games for a living. Like that that's when the dream kind of started. And
So how old are you at this
throughout
point now? Are we
I don't actually
ballpark?
remember. It was middle of middle school, so seventh grade.
So
Uh,
for the sake of me, because British we call it different things. Right, we just have high school. So is that are we talking like 13 or are we talking? That's what
I'm
around.
guessing, yeah, I'm guessing 12 or 13.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not 100% sure if that's the right age exactly, but yeah,
No,
somewhere
around that
around that.
era. And who
Um,
was it as well that taught you that? Was it just someone you met in school, or was it?
yeah, it was someone I was in school. I wouldn't really say we were like friends at that particular point in time, but we
Mm,
became friends from that.
yeah,
And then yeah, I just started learning a lot on my own. This is before the internet was really a big thing,
yeah.
so it was kind of I'd
Uh,
get the internet at school, print out as much paper as they'd allow me to print, bring it home, and do what learning I could that way.
Oh, learning was different back then, wasn't it? For sure. I think,
Certainly was.
yeah,
And then eventually I went to college for game design and development, went into the industry to work on games for a little over 5 years. And then I kind of found myself going into software. Just that's what life pulled me into. It wasn't really a choice that I wanted to get into software. It just kind of it felt better than other opportunities that I was being given.
mm,
And the stability that I found there really is what allowed me to kick off my indie adventure, start streaming on Twitch very regularly.
mm.
And as of, I think 2 months ago now, I became full-time indie. So
Excellent.
finally jumping into the dream that started way back then.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's nice to hear actually. I think what's interesting is something I didn't know about you. I didn't know that you had one or two things actually. So I didn't know one that you went to study game design and what's the course? Did you say it was called?
Game design and development
Game
at
design and
Full Sail.
development. Yeah, yeah. So one, I didn't know that you'd studied that, and then secondly, so you worked around 5 years. You said in industry as well.
Yep.
So you don't have to disclose names or anything like that. But what was it? What was your role as a developer then? I assume you're a programmer, was it? Or
Yeah, most of the titles were gameplay programmer.
mm,
I also bounced around to a couple triage things just based on that's the job that came up and I needed a job at the time, so I
yeah,
took it and
yeah,
um but yeah, most of them were gameplay programmers and crunch is very real.
yeah, yeah. Well, I guess so. That is the kind of stability I guess you were referring to when you moved to a more just general software dev. Then is it?
I was actually more referring to not searching for a job every 9 to
Uh,
12 months or whatever because
okay.
I was basically bouncing companies every year or so
And
when I
was
was in
that
the
due
game
to,
industry.
is that like due to contracts then? Or like as in you were just contracted for a short duration rather than like a permanent employment sort of basis or?
Something like that. They weren't actually contracts, they were permanent positions, but it just happens to be that when a project is over, a lot of the team gets let go.
Yeah,
Like, at
yeah.
least that's what I found. Even if I was a full-time employee. That's just generally what wound up happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No,
so
that's
I had to
tough.
be willing to move, and then eventually I just wasn't willing to move everywhere, and
Yeah.
jumped into software and found that I don't know. I was at Rescue Time for 9 years, I
Mm.
think, very close to it anyway.
So yeah, it's understandable for sure because like I think I'm almost quite fortunate in the sense that the environment that I'm in at the moment, I don't feel the kind of that immediate, well, two things: the crunch and the immediate kind of risk of job at the moment. And I think that is one of the reasons for that is that I guess the way my company has tried to build up, they've done it in a way where it's kind of very managed risk. Where we don't, instead of just pushing out our own titles, we're co-developing quite often, which means that we work with other people where they're basically taking the risk and we're sharing our expertise in that. So, but for me to be in a situation where I wouldn't be sure if I would have a job in like 9 months, that would be, yeah, I can definitely understand why I would be weighing up my career options for sure when there was that much uncertainty about it. And hey, who knows? Things might change in my company as well. I might be in a good phase, but I'm hoping it continues at least. But
Definitely.
do you think that is still something that is still true now in game dev then the way that it was for you, or is that something that's changed, or do you predict that it's probably still the same?
I've heard a lot that it's kind of been changing, but haven't I haven't seen that myself, so I kind of
Mm.
suspect it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
Um, I think there are some changes that are happening, but I also think it just depends on specifically the company that you get. My last position in games was actually a very non-crunch. It was actually a great position, with the exception that they wound up letting go of the programmers, including me,
Right.
for little, like there was no reason, literally no reason at all. Like, um, it was just a failure of management, then they put it on the programmers is what wound up happening there.
Mm. Yeah.
Um,
There's often some form of scapegoat when anything goes
yep,
wrong, right?
and that's just what happened on that particular one. Because I think that particular position, I mean, it sucks that I lost that position the way it happened.
Mm.
Um, but that position, I came from a crunch fest company into that other one that had no crunch policies, and the amount of work that me and another programmer were able to do in this quality environment just put a contrast on how bad crunch actually is.
Yeah.
Like, up until that point, I was like, yeah, crunch kind of sucks, but you just deal with it, whatever. And after seeing the light from working at the non-crunch company, I was like, no, this is gotta change.
Mm. I think it's definitely something to consider because you're right. You only know your environment, and I'd imagine for like a young person with no job experience, they've just gone straight to uni, then straight into a game dev job, let's say, which is quite fortunate in its own right. If you that it's not always that easy, but say you do, yeah. If you're in a company where the kind of culture is that it's normal to overwork, not being compensated for it, or not have the choice in if you want to do extra work, then you just kind of accept it. And I think until you see the other side of it, you maybe don't notice the impact it can have on you because you might be able to handle it, but it might be sapping you from any energy to do anything fulfilling in your own personal time and have your own personal growth as well.
Definitely,
Yeah, and
definitely.
it's like I used to do teaching, so I was a teacher pro, and there's a few reasons why I switched career, but one of the negatives of teaching was that I felt there was never off. You weren't always being forced to work extra. There was some element of that, but there was it was almost the guilt because if you didn't do extra work, the only ones who suffer are the kids that you're meant to be
Right,
educating, which is its own kind of guilt trip version of crunch, I guess, right? So,
definitely. And I mean, I don't want to stray anyone uh aside from, like, you had mentioned getting a job straight out of uni or college.
mm,
Even going to a game design and development program, which at least at the time was fairly highly regarded, um, it still took me almost a full year to get my foot into the door.
mm.
It was not just a, "We got the degree, now let's go get a job." That was It was a very painful time in life.
Yeah, yeah, and it surprises me when I see how many what was it for a global game jam a few years ago now. It was hosted in Cardiff, or closer to where I'm from. And I remember going there. It's being hosted in the university, and so they had all the students who were doing these game dev courses. And there's just like there's like 100, 200 of them on 1 year course, and I'm just thinking about that's one institution. And then how many game dev studios are in the UK? Well, things might be changing with remote working now. I guess with some doors may have been opened with companies being more open to remote working possibly. But yeah, it's still definitely a challenging thing. But I mean, this isn't really. I'm sure this isn't new news to anyone who's interested in game dev. It's a story that's told very often. But one thing that did crop up when you were telling me about that, Tim, is do you feel that you had an opportunity to gain any? I don't want to say it sounds very like you're using people to say this, but did you gain any connections or meaningful relationships that you feel that would whilst you were in the game dev industry that would give you any kind of potential benefits now in terms of speaking to people, helping yourself connect with other people while pushing yourself as an indie developer?
I think if I was A, smarter, and B, more less introvert than I am,
Hmm.
that probably would have happened. But I tended to keep to myself a fair bit. So, I mean, I definitely have some friends out there that were in the industry or even still are in the industry, but it's not like they're going to give me like big connections or such.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I didn't really do much of the talk my way up and build the connections that I probably should have been doing while I was there.
Well, it's not always easy to. One, it's not easy to do full stop. Especially, I would say, you mentioned introverts. I think a lot of personalities, or there seems to be a tendency, doesn't there? The people who are into particularly coding, there does seem to be quite a lot of introverts, or people who are maybe not socially comfortable in or masses of people kind of situations, you know. So I think first off, it's not an easy thing to do anyway, but secondly is to have that foresight as well, thinking this could be something that helps me in the future. I mean, no, I don't think anyone would really be thinking that far ahead always, you know. So no, that's fair. It was more of a curiosity, I think. And I think that's also it comes, I guess, as you get older and experience, you start to think more about those things. But oh, well, that's super interesting. I've already learned a ton of that I didn't know about you already, Tim, and it's definitely, I think it's a different path to anyone else we've had on the show. I think we're probably close to coming up to around 10 of these interviews now we've done with various game devs who've gone ahead and published a game on Steam and found their way into trying to make it as an indie developer. So yeah, that's great to hear. And nice to hear about your experiences. So when we're talking about game dev, then for you, has it ever been? I guess my question is rotating around engines and the tools you use to make games. So I know you at the moment. You're working on your own thing, which to be honest, I know nothing. I see you working in it, and I see you doing your fancy command line stuff and all of this, and I'm just like, I'm not this much of a super user to be able to keep up with this. However, I know it can be deceptive. I'm just curious about the tools you've used during your kind of career up to now, and whether any opinions on that you want to talk about.
Um, when I was in the game industry, Unreal was the thing, but it wasn't like a everyone goes to use it.
Mm,
And like when I was in that game dev program college, they did have a month on it, and I actually thought it was just for designing levels. That's what they kind of pitched the course as, is more of this is learning some level design, not necessarily learning how to use Unreal or Unity as a tool for game development.
mm,
Um, and I think that started changing kind of as I was leaving the industry. I think about 3 years in is when Unity started picking up some steam and started like growing a fair bit to actually. I don't think it was being used inside the industry at that point, but it was definitely starting to grow among indies or like anyone not going through building their own engine.
mm,
Um, so I think a part of my build my own engine just comes from that's what I've always done, even like throughout the career, throughout college, throughout all that time was just build my own stuff and work from that because you get to control the workflow and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
For Accelerate, I did use Unity. I was actually using Unity just to explore the engine, maybe make some assets to sell on the asset store, or maybe make some form of tool to sell on the asset store. That's kind of where I was going with that exploration.
Mm.
But during that same exploration month, Ludum Dare happened and Accelerate came out, and it was kind of like so many people were giving me such good feedback, and I could also feel the fun myself that I was like, this has to go into an actual product and go
Mm.
somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely we'll have a chat about that. And Accelerate, by the way, is for anyone who doesn't know, is a game that started as an LD entry by Tim. I got the page open here that I can show you for the original LD 46. So we're talking this is around 18 months ago, I think, year and a half ago or so.
Yep.
So it is a physics based. It sounds silly because anything that moves you'd imagine is physics based, but we call it that because you're a vehicle holding an egg on the top of your vehicle, and so the nature and the manner in which you drive is going to change how that egg sits in the basket on top of your head. And as you can see in this, there's little speed bumps and all things to make it challenging. So we are going to be playing that later today once we finish having a good chat with Tim. But yeah, after that, he followed on to release it on Steam. So I'll drop some links in chat in case people want to have a little look at it. So there's the Steam link by there, and the original page if you're interested in seeing the difference, I guess, or the progress. But yeah, okay. So back to the OG question then in terms of tools. One, I found it interesting. You were saying you're looking at Unity as could you develop some assets or could you work on some tools that you could sell? And I definitely think that's worth just noting that yes, good job. That is a great idea because I think that there's people are always well two things. One, there's not a vast amount of tools for some of the engines, at least. I think Unity's probably getting pretty full now in terms of like the choice of assets and that are out there. But I know like Unreal is a bit less of a huge community compared to Unity now. Mainly like Unreal, as much as Tim said it used to be like the standard, it used to be paid for. You had to pay to use the engine, and then they made it free after a certain amount of time. So in terms of that kind of like open to everyone community, it's a bit behind Unity. However, yeah, I think assets are a great way to, if you've got some expertise or you've done something that other people will use, that one, it's a great way to try and earn some money. And secondly, I think people are often looking for assets because game dev, as we know, is something it's very hard to wear all of the hats really well. So if you can find some tool to just either let you do something easier that you don't know how to do, a shortcut, or whether it's just 3D models, they're all things that there's always someone interested in it. It's whether or not they find it, whether or not it meets their project, or whether or not it's the right price is going to denote whether or not someone's investing in it. But yeah, just wanted to compliment your ambition there because I think it's a definitely an area that's worth thinking about if you're looking to make some money as an independent developer. Did you end up getting to the point of being able to make tools, or were you kind of sidetracked then by the project itself?
I never did make any tools for it, basically because I pivoted to Accelerate. Once that came out of Ludum Dare, feeling as good as it did,
Mm.
it was a kind of difficult decision to make. Like, do I run with the game or do I continue the plan that I had set aside? And I did go with the game because I think the interest was high enough for it.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. I think it was a good decision in hindsight as well. It's really nice to see this in its full form as well, and I look forward to playing it a bit later. So, your own engine, then. This is a topic that lots of people. I know many developers who are just like, I'm going to make my own engine. So I have very little experience with this. So I would not offer anyone advice on this because I know very little about it. However, what if you could in a brief kind of summarization of your experiences with making your own engine, the benefits of it, the drawbacks to it, how would you describe your experiences with building and using your own games engine?
Um, well, the biggest obvious drawback anyway, is the amount of time you're going to be spending developing the engine and not your games. I think that also comes with a huge trap that I myself fell for years and years. I mean, a solid 8 years of engine development. I fell into this trap where I want to build the game, and the game is going to need X, Y, Z, and whatever other letters you can come up with. um, for features. So I need the engine to support XYZ and all the other letters for features, and you never get to the game. Um,
Yeah.
I finally broke out of that loop when I started Turtle Brains. And basically, the way I did it is I got some very, very simple object on the screen, just a square or a triangle or something. I got very, very simple input. So you could press a button on the keyboard and have that square triangle do something.
Hmm.
And then I had something play a sound. That was all I had. And it was not in any like frameworky nice manner of use or anything. It was just here's the few basics you require for a game. And from that point on, I began making games. And when a game needed a feature, I would add it to the engine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then only like basically try to limit myself so that the engine growth grows alongside several games. And about 10 to 15%, sometimes 20% in those earlier days was spent on engine dev, where the rest was spent on game dev. And so these days I'm trying to aim for about 10% engine dev.
Yeah.
Um, but some of the benefits to building your own engine are you get to control how it works. If there's a bug, you can go fix it. And people will say, well, you can do that in open source engines as well.
Mm.
And on some level, they are technically correct. You can indeed go dig into the source code of an open source engine. But to actually apply a fix well, you need to have a very good understanding of a lot of areas within that would interact with where the bug is coming from. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
just create a different bug.
Yeah. That you
And
may
to
not know
do
about
that,
yet.
yeah, and to do that on an open source project that you're not really a part of is much more challenging than people think. And then
Mm.
you have to hope that the community running that project actually accepts your pull request.
Mm.
Otherwise, you've got the bug patched on your own version, but the next update you have to go patch it again. Um, of course, that's a downside is any bugs you create, you have to fix, which I don't mind logic bugs so much, but when I'm dealing with platform specifics, like I just started porting my 3D engine over to the web browser recently, and there was just a couple little things that go wrong. That's like it's not very fun. Like it's
Yeah.
not always glorified, and it's yeah.
That's the stuff you got to kind of pull yourself through, or drag
e-
yourself through, isn't it? Is that?
Exactly. That's just part of the cost, some of the downside, but you get to choose how you work and how everything else works. So it works in the way you want it to, in the way that you work best. Like if
Yeah.
you jumped into Unreal or Unity, you're kind of forced into their workflows. And
Yeah.
if that doesn't suit you very well, well, that's too bad. You're using it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you find a bug in those, generally speaking, you're out of luck. You have to find a way around that bug, not you're not going to fix it
Yeah.
usually.
Even if it's not a bug or if it's a limitation, let's say, I think it's
Right. Or a
applicable as well, right?
limitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a lot of what you're saying is very true. I think like working in Unreal now, you do have access to the code, but having seen how they've had to deal with it in a working environment, it means any changes you've made, well, then when they come up with an update, you need to kind of forward port your update, and if they've changed that area, it gets messier and messier, and
Mhm.
especially if you're updating a few versions at once. So it's one of those things that it's manageable, but it's definitely an extra little bit of work on top of that. And also, I think a lot of people complain, like using Unreal again. Sorry to draw on it a lot. It's just my most experienced engine at the moment, and I think lots of people complain about how resource heavy it is. For example, for making a jam game, people are like, "Oh no, it's an Unreal game. It's going to kill my laptop," even though I've done nothing that's too computationally heavy in there. And that's another example of it may not always be it may not suit your needs. It might be I don't want to say overkill because people tend to misuse that a little bit, but it might be um, effectively you've got an engine that does more than you need it to, and there's negatives to that as well. And it may not do things in it makes simple tasks more difficult based on the kind of the way they've tried to make an engine that fits all problems. So yeah, no, it's interesting to hear your perspective with that. And I'm assuming that um, what's the name of your engine?
I've got Turtle Branch, which is the 2D component, as well as does the like window management input and all of the like most of the engine is Turtle Brains.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a bolt-on basically that slides into it, which is the internal combustion engine, which does the 3D stuff and eventually is going to do the physics as well.
Mm,
And if I'm completely honest, this has been done a little bit backwards.
mm.
There's a reason most engines will do 3D and then do 2D after, because it's just a simplified case of 3D. Whereas
Right.
when you add the other dimension going the opposite way, like I have,
Mm.
it's a bit painful. But I chose it that way because I wanted Turtle Brains to be limited, and here's the framework that I'm kind of shipping publicly. I haven't really got to that point yet, but
Yeah.
that's always been my idea. I might kind of reverse that and refactor it so that Turtle Brains does some 3D stuff too, because it really would help
Mm.
a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah. So, out of interest, is this something that you're looking to keep as as a personal engine, or is it something you're looking to share with other people to use it in, like long term, if it gets to that stage where it's easy to use and like I guess distributable, I guess.
I've always looked at it as something I'd like to distribute to others and accept contributions to, but I do want to be remaining like retaining all the rights and everything so
Mm.
that if I decide to change the license to whatever I want, I can still change the license to whatever I want.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like the idea of it being open sourced, but at the same time, I am going to be building it to build commercial products, and I want the rights to be able to do whatever I want without having to go chase down each of the contributors, which is why currently I'm not accepting contributions or such, but
yeah,
hopefully
yeah.
someday.
No, no, that's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna take a very, very mild break. Just to, I realize I've ignored chat for the last 40 minutes or so. So just to quickly acknowledge, I won't read through everything, but you've got some time to breathe for a moment, Tim. So first off, Elisha, thank you very much for the raid earlier as well, and people who came along. If you're still in the chat, very nice to have you here. Going through the names, we've got Dragonfly, we've got Unit, we've got Outfrost was here before, so you don't get a shout out. Booksnail. Great to have you here, and as well, I've missed a bunch of chat here, but it looks like most of it is fine. You just silly comments. We don't need to read those. If anyone has any questions for Tim while we're going as well, do feel free to tag me in the chat, so it helps me spot the message, and then I'm happy to relay that question if I think it's if it fits in with the conversation. Um, let's just have a look through this. So Outfrost was saying earlier when we are talking about crunch, he was saying that he heavily agrees. I've experienced some crunch already, and being overworked is definitely bad for productivity, not to mention health, especially in the long run. Yeah, partly Atomic commenting that there's no crunch like teacher crunch as well, relating to that. Yeah, my experiences with it in a different industry at least. Um, uh, yeah, interesting. Partly saying earlier when we were talking about making connections in industry, and I was saying, oh, it sounds like we're using people, and you're saying that's not using people, that's just networking, because I guess it kind of is the networking is the nice term for it, right? But
I mean, using can go both ways with networking. You can hook a couple people up if you know two people that would be good friends together that don't know each other otherwise, and
yeah.
um, so it's kind of beneficial on both sides.
I think that would define networking to me rather than using people. Like if it's a one-way system, that's where I feel it's not always a healthy relationship or something I'd advocate at least. But yes, let's have a look. Partly talking about being able to ship smaller games in Unreal, but yes, yeah, things are getting better at least for Unreal in that regard. But we also have Ghosty in chat. You're asking a question about when we'll actually be a programmer. You're learning at the moment. Feel free to pop back to another stream because we'll be able to have a more of a chat openly about that. But as I'm currently interviewing Tim on his experiences game dev, feel free to hang out and listen if you want. And but come back to another stream, and I'm happy to talk more general stuff. Alrighty, so yeah, if anyone has any questions for the rest, as I said, tag me in chat, but otherwise we're going to carry on. So this brings us to what you call your indie dev adventure itself. So how would you describe your adventure? What is your ambition?
My ambition is to be able to make my own games and sustain myself while doing it. Perhaps sustain a team while doing it would be a higher ambition, but right
Mm,
now I just want to be able to live comfortably while making my own games for money. Like
Yeah.
that is my dream. Um, it is not an easy dream.
Yeah.
It's I've been at it for 4 years part-time with a full-time job. And I haven't yet had a profitable project. So with any luck, that will change.
Well, that's one of the great things about Tim, for viewers who haven't checked out his stream before. So the way Tim approaches this indie game dev adventure is very, I guess, what's the right word to do it? I guess it's very honest. He likes to try and weigh up actual like investment of time and what that constitutes as money. And I guess looking at this as a business, not purely I'm going to make my game. I hope people buy it. If 100 people buy it, then that's great. That means I'm popular. That doesn't quite equate to I guess business success. And since one of Tim's goals, as he just shared with us, is his ambition to be able to sustain himself financially whilst making games, he has very sensibly tried to make a big part of his kind of time he puts into game dev is to approach things in the right way, do market research, and try and get a gauge of what is going to be a sensible risk. Because most business opportunities are risks. You got to put a bit in and hope that you get some out. But I think calculated risks are probably the better risks to take if you're going to take any. So yeah, what sort of things have you been doing then, Tim? Would you say that kind of helps you make I guess informed decisions going forward about how you're going to spend your time and what projects you might choose to invest in personally?
One of the things I've been doing for a long time was just tracking my time.
Mm,
Literally, like you said, putting the times that I'm working on certain projects and just kind of tracking it up. I have a dollar figure per hour that's based on the cost of living and the amount of hours I would ideally like to spend. But that's a kind of wishy-washy number in the first place, but it gives you at least some value to be looking at every hour costs at least that much, if not more.
yeah.
Um, and so when I was looking at Accelerate, for example, when I was after Ludum Dare and I was deciding, well, do I go with the tool idea or an asset pack and release that on the Unity asset store, or do I switch over to making this game and releasing it on Steam? I was like basically taking a wild guess how long it would take to create Accelerate and what sort of budget it might need for some art and other things. And I took a wild guess that I might be able to do it within $10,000.
Mm,
After tracking all of my time and costs, it was a bit over 12,000 in total, which was slightly over budget. But as things go over budget, that's not too far off, really. That's what, like 20% or so.
and
Um,
out of these costs, just to interject very quickly, is this more just purely from a point of view of like if I was getting paid X amount an hour, or do you also factor into other things in terms of like running costs and stuff like that?
so what I factor in with my time cost or how you get to time cost is you figure out what your cost of living is for the lifestyle that you want to live and maintain.
Right.
And for me, it's a very basic lifestyle. I don't really care about fancy cars or fancy houses or anything else being fancy. I just want to have a computer, the internet, some food, and keep on going, right? Like
Mm,
just your basics. And so for me, I need at least $32,000 a year after taxes to sustain that lifestyle.
yeah.
And once you divide all this down to how many hours you want to work per week, which ideally would be 40.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to be putting in a whole lot more than that up front for your
Uh,
sweat equity, but
I did see
um
your post saying your first week of indie game dev is 72 hours or something along those lines.
yeah, that one wasn't too bad. Uh September was actually pretty good at almost 300 hours for the month.
Mm,
And then I've calmed down a significant bit in October. But so you get this number that's actually a concrete number, and that's your time cost. When you compare it to what you could be making elsewhere at like another job or doing some contract work, that's more of an opportunity cost, which is important in a different way. By doing my indie adventure, I am losing an opportunity cost of something very significant, right? Like I could be making 80 to $100,000 easily doing work for other people.
Right.
But to me, I don't really care about money. Like
Mm,
money, there's a lot more to life than money to me.
mm,
And as long as I can make my $30,000 from my own games, which maybe that'll happen someday,
mm,
um, then that's all I really want.
mm. No,
So so
that's
the opportunity cost is good for people that may want that money figure, because some people do have that as a more important thing in their life. But yeah, for me, it's about just building my own games and hoping to make enough to keep making my own games.
that's it's pretty awesome to hear, and I think we actually have some quite a bit in common in that regard. In terms of, for me, money isn't a massive motivator for me. The only thing for me at the moment is I'm still renting. I'd like to be able to have a mortgage so that I'm at least paying the money goes somewhere, you know. But
I've been wanting to do that for so long. Yep. I know what
so
you mean.
so that is the kind of like the one financial thing for me. But other than that, I'm really not too fussed. And it's more about feeling like I'm doing something that I feel passionate about in some shape or form. Every day, you're not going to be, dancing around passionate to do what you're going to do. But it's in the big picture, if you're happy about it and you think it's a valuable or a useful or an interesting use of time. And I think that's good, and it is really nice to hear another perspective, which is quite similar, but in a different scenario. You will. So okay, so you weigh up the time involved into such projects. I was just gonna note someone mentioned in chat earlier. I don't know if you're familiar with Jitspo. Jitspo's yeah, he streams
Yep.
on Twitch as well. He does LD as well. But the artifacts in chat was saying that he has a similar methodology, tracks how much it has cost to make a game to determine break even point and such. Yeah, it's just I wonder sometimes how many people will work out that cost after they've already invested it as well. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, now we need to just sell 4,000 copies and we're fine. Yeah, it's definitely it's a tricky thing because I think game dev is often a passionate area for people. And so a lot of people approach it not thinking of it as like, oh, I'm spending X amount of time or I only have X amount of time to do it. They just want to work on the game until it's done. But yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't always go hand in hand with just being sustainable and making money from a game either, does it? So, okay, so other than that, then what extra steps would you say other than the kind of like time management and budgeting? I guess is there any other steps or processes that you go through in your kind of indie game dev adventure that you're currently on?
Yes, and I think the next big part that kind of came not very long after I started tracking my time was doing a business in review for each month. So at the end of each month, I'll review what happened during that month, what I accomplished, set up some goals for the next month, see if I'm see what I can learn from those previous efforts. Um, and I mean, sometimes that's actually really tricky to do, is actually dig into what went right, what went wrong, what can you actually extract for lessons from something that sometimes doesn't they're not obvious. Sometimes
Mm,
they're really hidden in there, but um it's I think it's basically what saved a lot of my indie adventure and put it on the right track, because I started doing this back in middle of 2018,
mm,
and that's when I kind of feel like I started my indie adventure really, is about 2018. I launched Archer and I started working on Rally of Rockets.
mm,
And about halfway through Rally of Rockets, I started this review process, figuring out, what went good and what I'm going to do next month, and what should I change, what should I learn, and all of this stuff. And around December is when I kind of learned, December 2018, I kind of learned that, wow, the time cost on Rally of Rockets is increasing rapidly,
mm,
and we have a very long ways to go. And I started kind of projecting in forward, like, what is it going to take to get this game looking the way I want it to? And what does that look like for sales and all this other stuff? And it led to a very hard decision to put Rally of Rockets on hold, because it was just too big for what it was supposed to be.
mm,
Um, but had I not been doing these reviews, I don't think I ever would have seen that, and I would have
Yeah,
just continued working on Rally of Rockets, and I there's no way that return on investment would have come.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of funny because now that I'm starting my full-time adventure, I'm back on Rally of Rockets, but that's because I've kind of pivoted the project to be a fair bit smaller than its initial goals,
Mm,
and there's also other opportunities with Ultimate Games, that I'm gonna be a launch product on this new platform, and that can bring up the return on investment significantly, so
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's cool. And well, first off, I want to say, yeah, I do remember you doing those. I remember like Alicia Griffin used to do those monthly reviews, didn't she, on the stream? I started doing them because of that, and I found a lot of benefit to them. Maybe less tangible, obvious ones, but I remember you getting involved as well, like because it used to be a bit where people could post it on a Discord, right? And I
yep.
remember you posting it and thinking it was good that another game dev was getting involved doing it as well. And so, yeah, I think that practice of reflection and just taking some time to it can feel like a waste sometimes when you're sitting there for 2 hours writing up things you already know. But if you don't give yourself that time to, then you don't process it in the same way. You don't actually try and compare it to the other things that you spent your time doing, and it
There
can.
there were a couple times where I did feel like, "Wow, this is kind of a waste," but it once I hit the Rally of Rockets lesson and a couple others along the way,
Mm,
I don't question it at all. It is certainly worth the 3 to 4 hours I spend every month.
yeah,
Um, I do get a bunch of chat saying, "Is this worth your time?" And it's sometimes hard to convince them because 'cause
yeah,
they're not the ones learning the lesson, and they're not the ones paying the bill for the business, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. And you can have loyal and wonderful viewers as well, but they are also able to switch off and go back to their comfortable life after, or whatever life they have afterwards, right? Which isn't your situation. So, I mean, I can understand where they're coming from, in
yep.
one perspective, but if anything, it shows a level of um, commitment and ambition by someone to improve and not settle for what they're doing, and see that there's always room to kind of improve and assess their own performance in a way, because as you get older, like when you're in school, you constantly have people telling you how good or bad you're doing based on their standards, right? And then it kind of finishes in life. You can get a job and you might get promotions and that, but that doesn't really give you, there's not someone else who's just holding your hand guiding you, and so doing it yourself is really something I'd advocate for anyone who's trying to be self motivated, whether it's self motivation in projects, hobby projects, or whether you're an entrepreneur trying to do your own business and be successful in it. So yeah, no, that's cool to hear. So the review process then for you was something that helped you identify viewers and maybe steer your business and your kind of, yeah, I guess business decisions is the right term for this. It's nice to hear that you're coming back to Rally Rockets then. So um, this is a project. Do you want to give us a bit of a elevator pitch of the game?
Yeah, so Rally of Rockets back in 2018 was a freestyle racing game, where you do tricks and flips and shoot missiles at people. But
Mm,
I've kind of shifted it into a King of the Hill, capture the flag racing game on these little rockets that they still do tricks and flips in the air, but that's more just like your aerial maneuvers to uh, kind of increase the skill gap, kind of like Rocket League does a little bit.
mm. Okay, yeah. So it's shifted. It's interesting from one perspective to see how you've kind of downscoped it as well, because that's something from my game jams I know I'm terrible at, but I think it's also a skill that's really valuable in doing, especially if you're an independent developer, you like a solo developer, I should say. I guess the time it takes so long just to do anything. It's something I complain about all the time.
Yep.
I think I said in the last when I was chatting to Tobor Prime last time, that I just sometimes I spend 8 hours doing the smallest of thing, and I'm like, why couldn't I have had a hobby that just takes less time to have end results? But yeah, so I think being able to scope down like that, is important, and it's good that you've done it. Does it pain you in any way, or do you feel quite happy with the decision to scope it back?
I actually feel very happy with the decision. When I announced that I was going full time, we
Mm,
started playing Rally of Rockets, which is actually how it came up into the current. Let's pivot it because we were playing Rally of Rockets and we were first racing around the track like you normally would. and then I allowed the world to be free driving wherever we go.
Mm.
And we began playing King of the Hill on top of the building, which is not something we like is something we had done before. It's not like it's the first time it had ever happened, but we had done it enough on that particular day that it's like I could pivot this whole project, remove the entire need for a racetrack, just throw some water down there,
Mm.
and you push people off into the water. And it just killed all of the risk that the project originally had.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
kind of like a light bulb moment that was like, and then so I started thinking on that for a little bit, and once an opportunity came knocking, I was like, this is the way to go.
No, that's cool. It's interesting to hear that sometimes, restrictions and trying to think a little bit outside the box instead of thinking like, how can I make this grand or building on this grand idea that you've got, but thinking is the core of my grand idea actually about being bigger, or is it just about certain elements in an enjoyable fashion? And we don't always know what's going to be enjoyable. I think that's one of the curses of game dev is we think we
Yeah,
know what game we want to make design wise, but how does that feel to play? And so, yeah, it's nice to see how
they're
that.
often very different, and I was actually really like very scared when I was making the decision to jump back to Rally of Rockets because obviously I put it on hold for a reason, and now I'm starting my indie adventure for real, like going
Mm,
full time, and I'm bringing back the project I had put on hold. It was kind of like, hmm.
yeah,
But I do think it is worthwhile. I've weighed the decision a fair bit,
yeah, yeah.
and it's gonna be good.
Well, I'm excited for it as well. I think it also speaks a little bit that this is something you wanted to do before and going back to it, and I think that'll probably help with that little bit extra of passion and energy that is inevitably valuable in game dev. So you mentioned one thing about that as well. Were you Ultimate? Was it Ultimate Gaming? I can't remember the term.
Ultimate Games. Yep.
Ultimate Games. So is that? Do you want to tell me a little bit about that? Because I saw it on your stream today actually, and I have no clue about it. So.
Yeah, so they're building a social gaming platform that allows you to share out a link and within a few seconds basically be playing games with your friends.
Hmm.
Um, it's definitely something to be looking forward to because yeah, we could just us streamers are playing games and you want your viewers there, just plop the link in chat
Yeah.
and there you go. I think it'll be a great thing.
Ah, okay, okay. So you're currently this, as you're saying, was going to be a title or release kind of
Yeah, it's going to
title
be
for
a
it.
yeah, a launch product or a launch title.
Does
There you
that
go.
does that mean that you've got a deadline then, Tim?
That does mean I have deadlines, of course.
Excellent. Okay,
but
so are you
but I
allowed to?
had self-inflicted deadlines anyway,
Yeah, that's
so
true. That's true. So do you have a hard estimate then of when you expect Rally? Oh, what am I calling it now? Rally of Rockets. Rockets are. Oh my God, is it Rally of Rockets?
Rally Rockets,
Okay,
yeah,
I got it
you got
right.
it.
I just went blank for a moment. Yeah, do you have a rough deadline that you're happy to share of when you expect that to
Um,
be done?
I'm hoping for end of year.
End of this year.
Yes.
What? Crikey! I did not know it was that close. Okay, wow.
I mean, it's a push, but that's what I'm aiming for. That
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. Of course, you got to wait for anything that's actually like when it actually comes out on platform or such, but I'm hoping that I'll have it ready for them at the end of the year, and we'll see when it actually goes further.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's 2 months. 2 months is a lot of dev time as well. Working full time on something. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that progresses.
Okay, I still have 3 months in my head for some reason. I need
did
to
I
just stop.
did I just take one from you? Did the wind come out your
Yes,
sails a bit? I'm sorry. It's no
a
longer a
little
third
bit.
of a year anymore. It's it's a sixth, is it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to go into the specifics. What does that matter, right? Okay, so that is very much like one of the things I tend to try and wrap up on is asking about like your future projects and that. And I assume for now it is this. Do you have
Yep.
much lined up after that, or is this your
I
focus until
think in
then?
the spring of 2022, I'll be working on Accelerate a little bit more, hoping to get another level pack or something and do a big update.
Hmm.
It's going to be my first time trying to push a game that I've released. Actually, Accelerate's really the first game that I've released as a product. So um, I'm hoping that I can get it to be profitable. Currently, it's not. It's about um, 25% recouped its original costs. And obviously, when I go build a level pack, it's going to add some more costs to it. But I'm hoping with a second push, maybe it can go a little bit bigger and get some more steam and keep on going.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then after that, eventually, I'm going to be making a racing simulator that is physically accurate. That's my dream project and
Mm.
something I look forward to doing, but just one step to a time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that definitely does sound a big, but I can imagine a very enjoyable project. For someone like you, then I assume that you must be interested in driving. Then for the focus on this, so yeah, is it just an interest, or is it something you would you say you're passionate about?
I am definitely interested and passionate about racing. I think I decided with Rally of Rockets to stick with racing games so that I could take each game and build something small for the simulator so that eventually when I start the simulator, I have a bunch of small pieces ready to go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's kind of why I stick with the racing games, as well as sticking with the single genre, I think makes sense as a solo or a small indie dev because you can just build off your last games and last features. I'm not saying like
Mm,
just change some models and throw out a new game, but
mm.
you can kind of mix and match things and you're not
I'm starting from
starting from
scratch.
nothing.
Yeah,
It's not like, well, how do I make the real-time strategy units do what they should be doing? Like, no, you already know the basics. Like it's there. You
yeah.
just you just finish it up and go.
I think that's one thing that lends itself a bit to the kind of driving games is that you can actually have quite a few different types of games that are around driving, surprisingly, rather than it's not pure racing. As you said, there's I think games like Rocket League have really shown how like driving games can be turned into a bit more of a party game and a bit more of a you don't have to be into racing or it's sometimes about skill in a different way rather than just being able to get the fastest time on a lap. So yeah, it's hopefully you keep finding ways to be creative. I remember famously, it may not be one of your most beloved games in the history of your games, but I remember recently playing a game jam game of yours where you pretty much did Breakout, where you were controlling a car at the bottom, skidding around, trying to knock the ball back to break the bricks, and yeah, it's having a I guess a niche, or if you want to call it that kind of domain that you're working in, definitely has the benefits you said. But I also find it interesting to see the different ways you come up with to make it interesting and different, especially in game jams as well, where you've got that kind of shallower window where you're allowed to
Yeah.
experiment and just be a bit silly with it. So
Yep.
okay, so two topics we'll try and tackle together just for the sake of time, so we have some time playing your game as well today. So LD or Ludum Dare, or the game jam, however you pronounce it, that and other game jams and Twitch, I guess. So two kind of online communities and how they impact what you do, I guess. So we'll start with probably the less prominent one, I'd imagine, which is like game jams. Is it something that you like to take part in, or like do you ever go outside of Ludum Dare to take part in game jams? And what do they give you?
Um, so I did take part in other game jams other than just Ludum Dare, although Ludum Dare is the one that I got introduced with. I had done actually game jams before even knowing they were called game jams in college, just with me and a friend. We'd whip out a game in 48 hours and go with it.
Yeah.
And then I found the Ludum Dare community and was like, oh, that's awesome. This reminds me of college. So I started doing those fairly regularly. And for for a while I was doing 1 hour game jams. And yes, that is make a game in 1 hour, which is a little ridiculous.
Is that like the try?
But
Yeah, there's a few of those, isn't it? I know there's like a 3 hour game jam as well. I've always thought they were a little bit too short to get much out of, but
they are if you're trying to make a game, right? What I was getting out of it was developing my framework. So the
mm,
very first 1 hour game jam I had participated in, it took me 18 minutes to get a black screen. And I was like, when you have an hour, 20 minutes to get to a black screen is not acceptable. Like we need to speed that up. So the next one I had basically built up a template thing that I can just start from and it takes a minute or even less than a minute to get to a blank screen and go.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
have I have a kit that just lets me start making those games. and it allowed me to develop the engine and the framework and test out where are the pain points. How is it to work with high pressure?
Mm.
Because with the high pressure of a game jam, you don't necessarily have the time to sit there and think how you structure things up. You just need to do it. And when
Yeah.
you just do it on an engine that is not exactly as polished as, say, Unity or Unreal or where Turtle Brains is today,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Turtle Brains is perfect, but from back then, it's a lot better. You kind of run into these little bugs left and right where, oh, this could be a lot easier to do instead. And it allows me to then work on that for the next jam and then the next jam.
Mm.
I would say these days I am sticking strictly to Ludum Dare. And even at that, I might even start skipping the Ludum Dares even. Um, it's just the interest in them has kind of waned over time, and I would like to see game jams be able to work on a piece of a project rather than the full project. That way I can actually get something of value going forward on my bigger projects, right? Like if
Yeah.
I'm working on Rally of Rockets for several months, I don't want to stop working on it, but I do want to be a part of these jamming communities.
Mm.
So there's kind of a conflict of interest that I have there where I'd like to just, well, let me do the credits screen. In fact, that's what I did for Turbo Boom. There was a credits jam on Itch, and I just jumped into that and did the credits screen for Turbo Boom.
Okay,
Um,
that's a good idea. So a jam just purely for making. Is it literally that making the credit
yeah,
scene for a game?
that one it was literally for making the credits scene of your game.
Nice.
Um, but I think there's ways to do it for more generic things like show a
Hey Tim
before
and
and an
Dan,
after,
glad to see
and
two of my favorite
this
devs on the
is
same
what you did
channel,
in
chat.
between. I feel like that's something jams could do, and I'd really like to see one that you could be moving bigger projects forward
Yeah.
while that happens.
I can understand where you're coming from. Like part of me feels a little bit the same. That like these days, I think I only do LD because I enjoy that little escape, especially now that I'm like working day job as doing game dev. It's rare to find a lot of time to go into my own personal projects, and so I think the fact that I work with my good friend Bora as well, Brainerd Games, and Spacey and Alicia and various other people over the years, it gives us a fun excuse to one just be silly, dream a bit big, and try and like make a silly idea and see what we can make of it. And two, that it kind of like it can end after that period, so it's that high intensity. So I still do enjoy that nature of it, but I do definitely feel that we're kind of doing similar to what you said. That we're trying to build every time we do a jam, we kind of try and take a bit from it and add it into a framework that we can use for our own projects, and that just it at least makes you feel like there's some long-term benefits to doing them as well, which I think helps when you start to question, whether I should be spending time doing this. Um, in terms of if I want to keep doing the jams, I think it's interesting you mentioned the community element of it because that is especially I guess if you're trying to spread a little bit of like brand awareness as well, then you do want to invest some time, I guess, in these opportunities to be speaking to people, to getting people like familiar with you, your personality, even since you're a streamer as well, and also just I guess with your game style and brand. So yeah, it's a tricky one, but I can understand the incentive to do every single one when you could be working on your very big ambitious other projects that are ahead of you. Yeah, I can see where it's tricky to
Yeah,
choose.
it does come from I have not missed a Ludum Dare since LD30.
Mm,
And I've submitted in every one from 31. So Ludum Dare 30 is the only Ludum Dare weekend I participated in and didn't submit. And that's just because Turtle Brains was a little too new. I should have still submitted it because it's not, it wasn't any worse than a couple of my just here's a few hours that I have of effort, but
yeah.
but I didn't feel like submitting at that point in time. And yeah, so every Ludum Dare since 30, I think we just did 49.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
that's almost 20 on the trot now.
yeah, it's a
Um,
pretty big streak.
Well, you also mentioned the idea like it'd be nice if you could like finish off or do a little bit of a jam, a little bit of your game as part of a jam. Sorry, and
Yep.
that's I actually do think there's what that helps with the people who feel like I don't have time to, anytime I step away from my project, I'm just wasting time. That definitely helps with that, and it's one. I think it's one of the rules. I don't know if anyone actually did it. I don't think they did. Now thinking back, but when I hosted my own jam back in crikey, when was it? In the summer, and I did one last December too. That I did say like, if you want, you can just do a bit, make a new system to work in your current project. As long as you say when you submit it, hey, this is the bit I've made. Can you give me feedback on it? Then there's no harm in that. Like, because it's not really, if a game jam's a competition, it's more difficult to do that. But
Yeah.
if it's not about like who is the best, even if it's an abstraction of voting or whatever LD is, then I think that gives more scope for people to do the jam in a way that suits them.
A
So,
lack of jam actually um, allows a fair bit of it in the unranked category as well, which I was doing for a few years. And um, one of the one of the themes, I was in the middle of working on Turbo Boom. Um, and so what I wound up doing for that particular jam was building levels for Turbo Boom based on the theme.
mm,
And that's actually got at least 4 levels in the game now based on that particular theme. And it was just kind of, I think that's where it could be used is you already have a game.
yeah.
Now go make some levels or some content based on this theme
Yeah,
for
almost
your
like a
game.
content jam in a sense.
Yeah.
We had Alfrost in chat said something like not too dissimilar. So you said, I want to host a jam where people don't make entirely new games. They take a previous thing they started and then they try and finish it, fix, improve, polish, present. That
Yep.
sort of concept. Yeah, it's. I think if you find a jam where there's not an element of competition and the people taking part in it know it's not about proving anything, then to anyone other than themselves, I guess, then I think we're in a better position to have jams that kind of encourage that sort of content. So yeah, I guess the best advice is just to host it, try and push for this sort of stuff, or maybe join jams that are trying to do it already and help raise their kind of profile by getting people taking part in the jams.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and shout out to Alaka Jam as well. Alaka Jam is a cool jam. We've taken part in a couple of them, and I know like RLB and Danae, who help kind of promote and that they're good people doing good things for the game jam community as well. So shout out to those while we can. But okay, so the final thing to wrap up on then, Mr. Tim, thank you for your time. I'm aware we've gone over it on time a little bit. So with your streaming community then, so you, as we know, stream on Twitch as you do your development. Um, what kind of role do they play in your business? I guess that's quite an open question on purpose because you could come at that in terms of from they could throw ideas, they could throw money towards you in some situations, they could take time away from you because you're streaming rather than doing pure dev. They could help you motivate you. There's so many different things they can do. So I'm interested in how your relationship with streaming your game development is.
I mean, I can tell you they do all of the above.
Ah,
It's
they're a good bunch.
very rare that they actually take time away from me in any negative manner. It has happened a couple times. And by negative manner, I mean I had plans X for the day, and we wound up doing Y, which wasn't at all what I was actually wanting to do,
Yeah.
and probably unrelated or something. I don't know. But there has been days where I've started doing X, and then uh, the viewers got me to do Y, and it was like, no, this was actually just a better thing to do.
Mm,
Um, but on occasion, and it's rare, it is kind of like I just got distracted.
yeah.
My primary benefit and reason of streaming, um, at least from the selfish side, is for the motivation and the focus. When I'm on stream and on camera, Sierra, you almost fell. Hold on a second, kitty cat
It's okay.
wanted to get down and was having some trouble. Um, so so my stream basically provides me focus because I'm sitting talking to everybody and it's like a laser focus. This is what I'm working on. This is when I said I'd be here. This is what I need to do. I can't, like, if I'm going to go post something on Reddit, I don't get lost in Reddit for all day just browsing other articles or something. I just post it, get off, and continue on with what I'm doing, or go visit Reddit to answer a couple comments that have happened on my thread, and then keep on going with what I'm doing. Like, it's a very laser focused. This is important for the business
Yeah.
vibe that I get from streaming.
Do you get a
What I
sense of,
also
just on that note quickly before you carry on, do you get a sense of you don't want to be wasting your viewers' time, or is it just more about you treat it as work, and so you're very much more, I'm not going to be lazy and or a bit selfish.
I think it is a bit both. I feel like it's me being selfish because I'm getting the focus from it, but I think I'm getting the focus from it because I don't want my stream to be just sitting there just chatting. Like, I
Yeah.
want to be getting work done. I want to be showing work done, because one thing that I give back to my viewers is a very honest, transparent window into my business in games.
Yeah.
Like, I want to inspire people to chase their dreams, and I want to inspire people to make games if that's what they want to do. But I also do not at all want to mislead and pretend in any way that this is easy.
Mm.
Like, anyone that's been watching my streams for any amount of time can tell you it's been a struggle. Like, it's been 4 years of a lot of work. And yes, I am getting some money, most of it coming from stream.
Mm.
That's not my primary reason for streaming, but it is certainly something that's helping the business.
Yeah.
Um, and and so yeah, I just want to give that back, like inspire others, motivate others, and give in ways that I wasn't able to be given way back when.
Yeah, yeah. Right, and that's nice, and I think that's a great kind of reason for you to want to be doing it. I think it's a very honest thing, and I think someone in chat even noted earlier, Tim, when you said when we were talking about what you the kind of the things that you do on stream around your indie adventure, you were saying that you were, oh, I can't find it. Was it Holtzy who said it earlier? He might have said something. Yeah, very honest and very open. Yeah, I think he described in like the way that you are on stream, and I think people do value that. People, there is that relatability with streamers sometimes, isn't it? Right, when they're not a celebrity, when they're just a person who's doing something interesting and who is has a nice personality to engage with. That's one element of it. But then, like you're saying, if you can help give people your experience and just give them maybe a little bit of a shorter mountain to climb to get up there, then that would be a wonderful thing that you've given people. So good on you, Tim, for your sincerity and for like as much as you want to be a successful game developer yourself, it's clear that you have generous intentions and that you're a good-natured guy. So it's been a pleasant chat getting to know more about you and your motivations, Tim.
Definitely.
Well,
Great chat.
good. Yeah, it has. It has. And I always find it interesting with these because it's like streamers, you listen to them talk all the time, but I never have like a two-way conversation with these people that I've chatted to on and off for like 3 years. So
Exactly.
it's definitely nice. So yeah, thank you so much for your time today. I'm gonna in a moment. I'm gonna go and take a break, get some water, and then we're gonna be checking out Eggcelerate on stream for the next 35 minutes or so. Normally on this bit, as I said, I will drop off the call so I can focus on it fully and I can struggle and get mad without feeling bad about being mad in front of you. But feel free to hang out and chat if you want. Yeah, if you don't need to backseat me or anything, but if you're in chat, then I'm happy to have any comments from you as we play the game. But otherwise,
I'll probably throw you on a top monitor and watch a little bit.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm just gonna keep on, and I hope you have some fun. Thank you for having me here, and yeah, enjoy Accelerate.
Thank you. Thank you. I shall do. Thank you. So, everyone, if we can say thank you and farewell to the wonderful Tim. Royds earlier as well did say it's so good to catch both of us on stream since he watches both of our streams separately. Lots of love for you in the chat, actually, Tim. So, it's good to see that you're an appreciated individual within the game dev community here on Twitch. And yeah, we will keep in touch, and I look forward to seeing the developments of your future projects and seeing how that pans out in the next 2 months, especially. Yeah, it'd be great though. It's exciting times. It really is. All right. You have a good one, Tim. Thanks for your time.
Enjoy.
Cheers, fella.
Have a good one.
Okay. ladies and gentlemen. Wasn't that nice? What a good guy. What a good guy. So, as I said, I'm going to have a drink and then we'll be back and then we'll play some of this game, okay? Sorry, by the way, people, I always apologize for this after the interviews. I'm really bad at reading. Well, I'm not really bad at it. I choose not to read chat and reply to it during interviews just because I find, one, it means I don't actually listen to the person I'm talking to, which isn't a great thing. And secondly, it means that I'm having to interrupt them to read out chat. So it's not that I don't appreciate the messages. I very much do appreciate the chat. And thank you for people getting involved. I do tend to like skim them a little bit and read them. But yeah, sorry that I didn't respond to them. It is appreciated. One thing I noticed earlier, partly was saying he had in a class in engineering curriculum like that, where you'd pick an old student proposal and move them to the next phase. It was pretty demoralizing to the groups that got proposals they couldn't see through to the end, though. I was this in terms of the idea of like not starting from scratch, of developing a project further rather than starting from scratch. Yeah, that makes sense. Outfrost was saying that he might use the idea of making levels based on jam themes for Pillars of Anguish, which is a game that he's been working on for some time now. Also, as well, Yogo Rock, I know you've been saying a bunch as well. I do appreciate the chat. Sorry that I've not been reading them all out, but it's still appreciated. Yeah, so you were saying like if the only thing you do is stream, then you kind of do want to get some finances from it as well. Yeah, it depends. So that's the interesting thing with you get a lot of streamers. Most streamers will play games, or they will, they'll just do something for entertainment's sake. Whereas the slight different brand of like things like game development on Twitch is, you can be working on your project. You're working towards the thing that you want to make money from anyway, and streaming. So it's almost like just you have the potential income coming from two fronts. So it's an interesting one. It's a smaller market, but it's definitely something to consider if you find that it doesn't impact your work kind of efficiency too much. But right, okay, I'm gonna get a drink. I will be back in hopefully around 5 minutes. And exciting news as well. We have 3 giveaways of Eggcelerate to give away as well. So if you hang out till around 8 o'clock, we'll do the giveaway. So if you hang out in chat, I will do a raffle in chat and we'll pull 3 names out and you can get a copy of this game to play and enjoy. As always, if you do win a free copy of a game, we do recommend that, one, you write a review. I know it doesn't contribute to the reviews in the same way, but it's still a decent thing to do. And secondly, if you ever want to recommend it to people, word of mouth, it always is appreciated. Or if you ever see it on sale and you enjoyed the game and you want to gift it to someone else, that's always a good thing that you could do too. But right, we're going to take a break. I'll be back in around 5. Hello, we're back. Hi. People been looking after themselves while I've been away. Cool, Yogo. Thank you for being understanding. Apparently, we use ship posting through the call. There was definitely bits where I was looking at chat and seeing some silly chat and just having to smile. And I was going to raise a middle finger at the screen, but I realized that looks confusing for anyone who watches this back on YouTube. This just randomly I start flipping people off. That's not the way to go. So the chat was great. I was just saying to you, Lisa, then while getting a cuppa, I got myself some nice chai tea. And yeah, I was saying one, that isn't Tim a lovely guy? Really nice to talk to. But yeah, I it's not like I doubted there was cool and nice, interesting stuff about Tim before, but I think it was really nice to hear in detail, like, I guess his route to where he is and what motivates him and what he likes to spend his time doing and what he hopes to achieve. Like, yeah, I think it's really wholesome. A really nice individual. And I genuinely wish him very, very much success with what he's doing, because he seems to be in for it for like good reasons, you know. I also did see Rizal. I'll curse you partly. I probably encouraged you. I didn't realize he went to full sale. You don't see many of those out in the wild. Well, what do you mean by that? As in that he went into game dev like before? What do you mean by that? Or am I misunderstanding what you mean? Oh, hang on. You said recruiters. I might be misunderstanding. Yeah. What is false sailing? You're confusing me. Anyway, let's launch the game, and we can catch up on chat. I'm gonna guess is I don't know if Tim, if you're still in chat, is it better with a controller? I'm gonna assume so if it's a driving game. So let's go ahead and launch Eggcelerate. Probably gonna install some distribution package. No, okay, good. We're straight into it. All right, it might be a little bit loud for my ear holes. Let me just bring this down a little bit. That equally. Ah, listen to that sound feedback. I hope that's Tim saying beep beep. Oh, Full Sail is a school, is it? Oh wow, okay, I'd never heard of that before. Okay, I completely misunderstood what we were on about earlier. Alright. Let's get started, shall we? Play game. Can I use the controller on this? Yes, that's an indication that controller's probably going to be best here. Bring the cable over. Bring the microphone up so I don't hit it with the controller. Alright, let's go. Alright, so, oh, hang on, before we start, I just wanted to check the name of the game jam, right? Was it Unstable? No, Unstable. No, that was my own theme. What was the name of this? What was the name of the theme? Keep It Alive? Yes, Keep It Alive. Oh, chat, thank you. You were a little bit quicker than me. Okay, Keep It Alive. So this was the aim of the game. You have this beautiful egg. Okay, that is restart. Right trigger is to drive. And it's giving us some guidance on how to steer. Can you see how it was yellow? It was trying to tell us to go slow, I think. You need more exercise to crack this challenge. All right, let's go, let's go. Okay, so you can press L trigger as well to slow down. Oh, crikey. Okay, I'm terrible at this. Look at the achievements, though. All right, there's going to be many egg puns in this. Okay, using the trigger is great, actually, because it's like you can release it a little bit at a time, right? I can't think of the right word for it right now, but I know what I'm trying to say. We had expert driving. Well done, everyone. All right. So I thought this denoted speed, the colour, but I'm not so sure about it anymore. Okay, go, 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 go. Slow down, slow down. Oh, no. Do you get point? Or is it just the fastest lap maybe is there? Alright. Nice, nice, nice. Wrong category. Well, because I'm in software. Because it's part of the interview, I stick to the category. If that's what you mean. Hello, TS Joss, by the way. Hold on, hold on. Slow. Oh no! Ah! Not only did my car almost fall off. Alright, let's go, let's go. So we got no guidance anymore. I guess one thing I'm thinking about is I don't know, am I doing... I did the same thing again. Alright, restart. I don't know if I'm going too slow or fast. I guess that's what the best time is for at the end, and you get a gauge, really, of it as you play more. Oh, Dan. What went wrong there? I think it's because I went from high to low a bit fast. So we're gonna just... There you go, we'll just brake. We'll brake. I love... Like, oh! Don't brake too fast, though. In the driving games I used to play when I was younger. Half a dozen Friday... Oh, crikey, that's 6 deaths already, I guess. Yeah, the driving games when I was younger, it's like you never press brake on. Oh, there's more puns in chat. I don't know how I feel about this. Oh, there's pumpkins on the side. Uh-oh, uh-oh. This is what cost us last time. Okay. We're halfway there. That time is halfway as well. Let's just get around this corner and then home straight. Yeah. Okay, good. Good. I think the objective at the moment is... Oh, hang on. The dev time was 22.5. Oh, that's far too round a number. Surely that isn't Tim's actual time. Break is for losers. What's a scan? I don't. Maybe I've missed some chat. Oh, crikey. So, hang on. What? How does the egg bounce? Is it coming off of my car? Or does it sometimes bounce off the floor? I've got a ton of achievements for that. I like how the cars have different sounds as well. Oh, no, no, catch it! Oh, no. Yeah, that sounds reasonable, Tim. Oh, okay, okay. Oh. Slowly. Okay. No! Oh, for flip's sake. Come on. This is what I was on about, Tim. I'm just going to rage because I'm bad at games. Okay, there's 12 eggs down. Oh, slow. No! Let's go. Alright, we're just gonna go carefully. I don't know, maybe the left way is much easier. Slow, slow. What are they? Are they speed bumps? I've got a feeling we don't want to hit those. Oh, no, 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 no. I can see it going. That's why I tried to straighten it out. Yeah, that's a good idea, lol. Instafluff does like that sort of stuff as well. Ah, Geek and Gale, I haven't seen you for flipping ages. How goes it, sir? Oh, I dropped the... Let me just catch up on chat a sec. Yeah, I've not seen you for a long time. Very nice to see you. Tim has gotten faster times after release. Well, how dare. Yeah, Dead Pixel, I agree. The fact that the eggs stay on the floor is a nice touch, right? Work, and you normally on when... Yeah, I don't stream so much anymore, if I'm honest with you, Geek and Gale. It's once a week is my normal, and then I'll do a couple of extra ones. Brainoid is working hard on Kattenberg at the moment, and so we try and do review streams of that on the weekend every week or two. So we'll have one of those probably next weekend. We've had a couple of weeks off with LD, and I got married and everything recently as well. So timing's been or schedule's been a little bit off. Is that the end there? Is the start the same as the finish line here? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh, damn. Okay, let's go the way that we wanted to go. There's quite a few Keep It Alive games with like Keep an Egg Alive, but this is like a simple but really, really easy to like game. I think you did well in the jam, if I remember, didn't you? You definitely had like under 100 ranking in like most categories, if I remember. And it's a great example of, well, it's really well executed actually. The environment is lovely, and the controls feel good. But what I was going to say is like how a simple idea is enough for a game jam. Whereas me and Brainoid tend to try and think of the most complex things that we could do in 72 hours and do it. Okay, we're going to do this level. I feel that you people in chat deserve to see another level within the next 5 minutes. So we're just going to take it more easy. We're doing good on top. No, I've gone too fast. No! Hey, Brainoid is here. Hello, Brainoid. How wonderful to see you. It is excellent I got married to a wonderful egg. Alicia Griffin herself. I think her hands are covered in washing up gloves at the moment, which are covered in water, which means that she can't type back if we say rude things. So, go for it. Oh, there's even more bad egg puns in the chat than there are in the messages you have come on the screen when you fail. It's one of those games where you feel like you can start relaxing, and then the moment you do, it all goes to shit. And then you tell yourself next time you won't do that. 24. Oh my gosh. Just like that. Oh my words. These puns are the worst. But that's what makes a good pun, so I can't criticize. There's a double yoker on the floor there. Yeah, so you keep wanting to accelerate in this, right? You keep saying, oh, there's a home straight, I'll go. And then you realize there's a bump or there's a corner. And you can't really do much about it. Uh-oh, come on, slow. Come on, Danny, go, go, go. No, 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 slow down. Okay. Ooh, did I get it? How has Tim done it in 25 seconds? What is this? I thought I did well. Let me have a sip of my fuel. Outfrost, you were not wrong. I need to speed up, alright. I hit a rock. That's what happens when you speed. I can also probably take, like, the lines I'm driving could probably help. Means you have to turn less. I wonder, like, using the curves in the road helps. A little adjust there. You need to keep it slow. Oh, did I count? It did. I bounced it over the line. Oh my words. No. Did I not beat it in time? The goal was 25 seconds and I was too late. I mean, I could have carried on, but out of principle, I feel I can do better. I like the TB initials in the graffiti on the floor. No! No! The bumps, you want to catch the egg instead of trying to keep it in the basket. All right, let's try that. Let's go straight first, shall we? Oh yeah. I see. Can I do that reliably? I mean, maybe full speed was a bit of a optimistic one. Oh, look at the cute rabbit ears on this basket. I feel you've just given me another challenge to do badly at, Geek and Gale. Get eggs in chat, please. Every death, we need eggs. I will do my best to prevent the egg spam. No! Catch! No! Oh, I bounced it twice. Okay, eggs in chat. That was a fail. It was excruciating to watch. It was close. Uh-oh. Okay. I just need to get better at life. That's what I need. I do find it hard to gauge like how much the egg has flown in these bits. I think I'm not going to try and catch it. I'll deal with it if I accidentally make it come out, but I'm going to try and go in slow over it. Catch, go! Okay, the egg went over. That'll do. That'll do. And we got a new time. Oh, Tim got himself a fancy time again. All right, let's go. Okay, there's bowling pins on this one. So are we to avoid those? There's a Triforce on the floor. Uh-oh, Nintendo are going to be calling soon. Oh no, there's a loop-the-loop. That means speed. The camera change. No, what the? Have I got to go? How fast have I got to go? Okay, go. Come on! Okay, the egg stayed in. I avoided the pins. I should have gone into them. They were set up for me to go into, but I was a careful driver. I did it. All right, let's go. Oh! Oh, look at all the Tim trophies I'm getting in look at all the Tim trophies I'm getting in chat. I'm glad the different cards have different sounds, by the way. It does add much needed kind of variance. Oh, crikey, I feel... Yeah, okay. That was fine. That was quite a nice one. Oh, change of environment. There was a big old... Oh, no, not again. It's repeated. Repeated bullying. Okay, well, no! Alright, let's just wait for it to go, and then we go. Oh, it landed on the wall! Okay, this is the worst I've done, because I'm impatient. Okay, there we go. Let's just stop trying to go maximum speed. It's tough when I see Tim's time every time. I'm like, I want to beat it. Dev, 8 seconds. I pressed retry because I feel like I can do better. Oh, I like the sound of this car. Ah. I would have happily stayed as that car. I think you can turn the randomization of vehicle off. I wonder if you take it off when you've got a vehicle you like, whether it stays as it. I really lost a lot of time there at the end. But we did improve. All right, next up. Let's go. I'm not going to try and beat Tim. I think it was a silly goal. Whoop. Okay, slow. Okay, this. Oh, you can't get into options here. I like this vehicle. Sounds good. We just gotta not fail, and then we can keep the vehicle. I don't know if we need to... Oh, what's he done? Did I get it? It counted. Amazing. Oh, we still changed car. That did not go well. We're back in the vehicle, though. What was that bump? Oh my words, how dare. Look at the egg I've got there. What a beautiful rainbow egg. None of the other eggs have looked like that. Is it? Oh no. Okay. We have a rainbow egg again. I thought it was a special egg, like for my 50th egg. Slow. No. Okay, we got this. We got this. Oh, that bumpy bit is horrid. Do we just go straight? Oh, no, 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 no. Bump it across. Okay, we made it. As long as we only need to take the egg to the finish line. After that, we don't care about it. Don't squish the rainbow egg. It's like when you got the rainbow button and it wasn't worth any. It was worth 3 points extra, thank you. Me and Alicia played a game called Calico recently where you make coloured quilts for cats to try and attract cats to your quilt and make patterns and stuff. And I worked on getting all these colourful buttons, and the rainbow was underwhelming in terms of how many points I got for it. Uh-oh. Oh, no, 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 don't get me. You're gonna get me, aren't you? Oh, how did that happen? Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, even when I went slowpoke. I was just hoping I'd make it through. Is anyone else really impatient with driving games like that? Like this? It's not even driving games, it's just like we get to keep trying. And it's a matter of speed. I get super impatient. And I end up just bombing it, hoping it'll work better. Oh yeah, driving behind it could work. But it's not going to bump my egg though, when I come off the road. Ah! Fails! The youths drawing carrots on the roads. You're right. How dare they? Get your foot down. Alright. Good, 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 good. Oh, it's 8 o'clock, by the way, so I will do the giveaway in a moment. We'll play it a little longer anyway. But we will do that giveaway. So if you're in chat and you want to get a copy of this game, we've got 3 copies to give away. After this level, I will sort out the raffle. Go. Oh, he's a minute after. He's a second after the bloody time. So let me go ahead and sort out this raffle. Maybe we'll listen to this noise instead. We need to try again. Let me just go and sort this out quickly then. Okay. The giveaway should now be active. If you want to enter a chance to win one of these, we'll draw the first game after I get past this level. Exclamation mark egg in chat. Go. Oh, there's a... No! I just realised my time was not very good, so I put my foot down and regret it. You could be waiting a while for this raffle result, so there's still time to enter. Due to my level of... my skill level. Okay, you can't take that corner that fast. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Okay, we did it, we did it. So far, we've beaten every one. Alrighty, I said after the first one, we're going to do our first result. We're going to put... Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. The winner is... Roids. Congratulations. I will message you after the stream a key for the game. Congratulations. We're going to continue the raffle. If you've already entered, you don't need to re-enter. Oh, I don't know how waiting to claimed works. Oh, whatever. But if you want to win again, exclamation mark egg in chat while we carry on. What is that noise? Sounds like a sheep. Oh, we made it. Oh gosh, you did it first time. It is a nice basket, isn't it? No! I've tapped break and maybe I was wrong to do so. Okay, we will be releasing another game once I complete this level. So exclamation mark egg in chat if you do want a chance to win the wonderful Eggcelerate. Oh no. Okay, good. Like my cute little bunny ears as well. I can do anything. Catch the egg. That was unpleasant. It's going to be a while for this next one, I'm afraid. Oh, flip. That doesn't help, does it? Not concentrating. Right, nice and straight. Catch the... It's so hard to gauge. Alright, just full speed, straight. Let's see what happens. Yeah, you see, you end up going far too fast when you land if you go full speed. So maybe I can go full speed over and then I can... Don't hit me. Ah! You better hope for me to finish this, otherwise there's no more giveaways. No more giveaways. Because Dan was not good enough at the game. It's the way it is, folks. You just gotta believe. You gotta believe. That was terrible. I apologize. You people deserve better. The egg deserves better. I almost did it again. Alright, full speed, and then... Oh, no. Oh, yeah, we didn't go over it straight there. I do like you feel like there's a mix between feeling like you got great control of it and then those moments of your like realization, oh no, I've lost control. Oh, I mean that shortcut was not worth taking. This car sounds quite nice as well. Alright, here we go, here we go. Don't speak. Please don't, like, knock me off the railroad. I'm so paranoid of crashing now. Oh, is it a loop-the-loop? No! Okay, we made it. I was very worried there. Okay, we can do it. We can give another game. Who's interested in it? You got a last chance to enter. Well, not last chance. Last chance before I draw this next one, at least. Okay, so we're going to be drawing the next one in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, next one is... Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba! Wait, lol, congratulations! You won the second. What a wonderful day. Yeah, you send me a message on Discord and I will get that key over to you. And we got one more left. So there's still time to enter. It's the same command to enter. We're just going to do it after I win the next race. And then we'll have to wrap up stream because it's getting a little bit late. Although, these levels are different enough that it's really interesting. Oh, flipping Nora. I love how it was... Where's my egg? I feel... Oh, is it just the camera angle's different? Yeah, there you go. Is this a chicken? It is a chicken. Oh, dear. Yeah, the level variance is really nice. I like... The visuals is one thing, but I feel like the challenge is a healthy kind of increment. Like that last level, I was having dads. Would I be able to do it? But I did. And I was very proud of myself. I went over at full speed and then I came off of the accelerator and waited for it, caught it, and then I had to just react. Felt good. Those little bumps in the road are very perilous, aren't they? These ones, I think we need to be careful here, not to clip one of them. Okay, slow. No! Oh my gosh. Would you look at that? How many levels are there? So I'm on track 15 at the moment. Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing how many levels there are. I imagine in a game like this, once your mechanic is done, it is literally all level design after that, right? Well, not all, but the majority of your work is level design. Time spent, not work. Whatever, you know what I mean. We're going to be waiting a long time for this next giveaway. Or are we? We got a chocolate Easter egg by the looks of it. I'm down with that. Alright, slow. No! Blast! Don't hit the hay. I lost too much time. No way am I doing this level and then not getting a qualifying time. So far who have won, it's been Roids999 and Weird Lol who've won. We've got one more to go to give away. So if anyone wants to take part, you can still put your !egg in chat. You can be new to the stream. It's not just for subscribers or anything like that. Anyone can win. Oh, no. Come on, get through. Oh, we're not in the time, though. I feel like a betrayer if I go ahead and I don't get the goal. However, I feel like for the sake of chat, we're going to announce the last one. So, last chance to get your entrance in for the raffle. We're going to be drawing it in 5. Okay, the winner is, for the third and final, thank you again for our sponsor, Tim, for giving 3 copies of his wonderful game, Eggcelerate. This gives us last announcement. The winner is... Oh my words. It's a fine gentleman indeed. It's Brainoid Games, ladies and gentlemen. The crowd is going wild. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Congratulations on winning. I was asking earlier, I'm not too sure how many... Oh, hold on, I might need to close that giveaway now. There you go. So no one else enters. Congratulations. I have access to the game now. Yes, you do, Brainoid Games. I will... the people who have won, I will send a message to on the Discord, because you're all on my Discord anyway, I think, so... Tim, or anyone who knows, how many levels are there? And there was a question asked to me, and Dan, what noise does a wild crowd make? What, not the... That's the sound of applause. Wild applause. 30. I'm not too far off, but yeah, we're definitely not going to do it. Oh, I did go to the next level, though, instead of redoing it. I'm a fraud. Is there a level select, I hope? I was expecting that to punch me. Get through there, get through there. Okay, easy. So if I go to exit... Ah, there is a level select. Wonderful. Did I not even get... I didn't get the time on the first level. I was a fraud all along. Look how much I've grown, though. Look at me now. Huh? Look at me now. Yeah. I'm a real boy. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, what a pleasure. What a lovely chat with Tim we had as well. If anyone missed the interview earlier, you can rewatch the VOD that's live now, but I will be posting a video on my YouTube. That's where you can check out my my content, because I don't stream so regularly anymore. The streams I do are kind of scheduled streams where I either do a game dev interview or I give feedback. The feedback streams you can find out more about there, but the all of them, the content will be posted on my YouTube afterwards. And so please, I would appreciate if you want to watch that sort of content, chuck a subscription onto the YouTube. It's free, unlike Twitch, you don't need to pay for it. I'm trying to get, I've only created the account recently, and so I'm trying to get back up to 100 subs so I can rename my URL instead of having that gibberish link that you see in the chat.